Before we get to the forecast, I want to briefly address the bullshit that is sometimes being spread out there. Solidus AI, do you see potential there and what is behind it? Personally, I believe that one can still take profits now. Now, one has really missed the boat. I'm not just talking nonsense here. Also invest actively myself. What is actually possible with Solidus AI now? Could we really see 20, 30, 50, maybe even 100x? And what is really behind the project? We will take a look at it together. But first, we will also look at the current market situation, what is happening right now, and whether we are already at the top of the bull run or maybe not. But I believe this topic is so special that we almost need to make a separate video about it. But we will definitely touch on it now. On our channel, you will find exciting new projects, news about the current market situation, and fact-based analysis of scams. If you are interested in these topics, feel free to leave a free subscription. And if you want to protect yourself as much as possible, we have prepared a free 8-point checklist for you. To find out how to get it, check the description. Just before we dive in, if you like the video, feel free to leave a like and write a short comment around 10 words. This is supposed to boost the algorithm and help this video grow. As you can see here, the market is still pumping, so everything is in a top performer frenzy. It's really crazy here. XRP with over 12%, almost 13%. Even the biggest moon boy probably wouldn't have thought that. Well, the XRP army for sure, but joking aside, ADA is also really strong in price. XLM right behind it, behind XRP. It's quite tasty. So I will probably bring out a new video about this tomorrow and explain how these bull run phases work. Especially for everyone who is new in the crypto space, because you can clearly see a shift from Bitcoin to large cap altcoins, like for example, XRP, ADA, Tron has also pumped significantly, which no one would have thought. So the values that are there now are crazy. And therefore, yes, as I said, it's not really in focus anymore like Bitcoin K, of course, the Bitcoin-only people. And we can be curious about when we will finally break through. But you can already see a trend reversal, and especially regarding the project we are talking about today, a solid small cap, which comes after all the large caps. So it remains exciting to sum it up. I personally believe that if you should move quickly in the market now, you won't be too late. No investment advice at this point. However, it remains to be seen, because at some point the point will be reached where you have to say, oh, you've really missed the boat, and in the end you just pay the price. Even when you look at the chart here, Bitcoin has fought its way back up, but it is still a wild sideways movement. This is of course also due to a lot of liquidity being at the top. And if you're actually wondering why it's so Christmas themed here, it's because I'm really not a fan of Christmas at all. Just to clarify, I'm more like the Grinch. Yes, and that's why BitMEX thought, let's really give it to that guy. That's why there is a Christmas tree from BitMEX behind me, and there will be an advent calendar from BitMEX. You see this here? This is basically a post from Santa. And I will start a giveaway every day. So that means get ready from December 1st to the 24th. There will be big prizes for you. If you want to grab some awesome prizes already, then check the description. There's the sign-up link, and you can secure a trading bonus. But as I said, everything else will follow in 2 days. Just a quick look at the Fear and Greed Index. You could also notice there has been a certain cooling off. This is likely due to the recent correction. However, as I said, that is also quite healthy. So when Bitcoin corrects, as we saw it nearly reach 92K, that is absolutely important for solid growth. And now you also have to take a look, because at some point the point will also be reached. You can see that here on this index, we have a very clear shift towards altcoin season. And yes, it has now pulled back a bit again. However, if we are standing somewhere up here, so everything is still in the green, if we say around 84, then you should rather realize profits quickly than reinvest again. So there is a clear message behind that. If you had invested earlier, well then, you would have more profits now. So, unfortunately, you just have to stick to that. But that doesn't mean, even if you should enter the market now, and especially this classic altcoin season, yes, we have a shift towards it, but that doesn't mean we are at 80 or 90 where the market is completely overheated. That still means there is potential present. I want to show something briefly here, just so you have an idea. I'm not just rambling some nonsense, but I also actively invest myself and then pass on these tips. So, for example, with Solidus AI, we are not being paid. Yes, I am personally invested there. However, this is not some paid partnership or anything like that, but you can see for yourself what has happened with my personal portfolio and how that thing has skyrocketed. That's crazy, guys. That's really crazy. And everyone who listened to us back then, about 4 to 8 weeks ago, which sounds completely insane in the way it is said now, is just unbelievable. And here you can also see, again, you can nicely see the contrast. By the way, I mainly hold AI tokens and meme coins. And interestingly, the meme coins have just lost quite a bit of volume. We'll get to that later. I currently have my test running with Bitfoot. I think the trader has also fallen asleep somewhere. Who knows, maybe in the bathroom or something. He recently bought a meme coin and some guy is sitting in the bathroom and only gets up at a certain market cap. You can do that. I have no idea what's going on there, but I'll show you. In any case, the meme coins have relatively fallen asleep. And in contrast, the AI tokens have suddenly become completely present. And you can tell that there is more fundamental value behind them. So there is always this gap between project that is completely hyped but has no value, and then you have projects that have value but are completely undervalued. And that is often the case with AI. For example, TARS AI, which is currently the best performer, is indeed at the top of my portfolio, just as a side note. And Solidus is, for example, in my top 3. So this is not some kind of exaggeration where I say, I also have the other projects that you see here. I have presented them repeatedly and I continue to present them. So you should just stay tuned because I am still investing. So that also means I personally believe that even if the biggest returns of maybe 100x or something like that are no longer coming, there is still potential present. But now let's get directly to Solidus AI, because many have indeed written in the comments, yes, Solidus AI, do you see potential there and what is behind it? You can clearly see the interest, and then I haven't been following this project for that long, by the way. Took a closer look at it a few months ago and also thought about whether I should invest in it. By the way, that's also a tip. Do your own research. That's the golden rule. And at the beginning, it must be clearly stated that if you go to the website, it is quite playful, and initially it was just a launch pad. This means you could participate in this launch pad. How was that possible again? You had to go into staking for that. Then you had the opportunity to stake over certain specific time windows. And then you were allowed to participate in this launch pad and in the various different projects that are in the launch pad. That was it for now. Now one must say, well, okay, there are many launch pads out there. That's completely true. And that brings us to the next point. I have pulled up the tweet for you here. And by the way, I think it's pretty cool when you look at the X profile. It's really well structured, also in terms of aesthetics, branding, etc. You can discuss the website now. It sometimes annoys me a bit because you scroll down, then it goes sideways, then you have to look here again, there again. Don't find that so cool. However, all in all, the thing really has a stylish look, and the AI marketplace has now gone online, although from what we could gather, it was a bit delayed, but it's there. And you can see it here. I pulled it up for you, this marketplace, so you can read everything in detail. I don't want to go overboard here, but in the end, it's the classic game again. You bring the developers in, and the developers can earn money on this platform because they provide their services. By the way, everything is being checked, so it's not that some scammy bullshit is being sold and anyone can just jump in. Rather, there is a clear verification process behind it, and then the end customer can use services, and that's already the first step, but there is apparently much more planned. But before we get to that, let me quickly show you the marketplace itself, so you can also just click through it. Of course, there isn't the highest number of products there yet, but you can tell that it's being accepted. We are talking about a marketplace that is now about 4 to 6 weeks old. And if you compare it to the chart, it's already wild what's happening there, especially on a monthly basis. Also in general, you see there was quite a significant increase here. And yes, a correction phase is part of it, but the bottom was definitely reached here. And now it's already going in the other direction again, and also with this market cap. It's quite exciting. There is definitely still potential for growth. Yes, the only thing to mention is that not all tokens are on the market yet, so there is a diluted market capitalization, but they will also be distributed chronologically, etc., in fixed cycles, the tokens, so feel free to read the tokenomics as well. I don't find it too bad, but of course you have to keep an eye on it. What I find cool about Solidus, for example, is that it runs on the BSC and Binance Smart Chain has low fees. Finally, something that isn't on Ethereum. I pulled up a Medium article here, and it is from March of this year, and there are still some delays. So we were talking about the marketplace that was supposed to come in June. Well, it didn't come in June, the GPU marketplace. We couldn't find anything right now, so if you have more information, as I said, I am still very excited about this project, so don't get me wrong, then feel free to write it in the comments if you know more. If you look at this HPC data center, it seems to be in the final stages, so to speak, at least when you look at the roadmap. And I find that really impressive. So you can also read this article in detail. But if you take a look here, wild number. It's really wild what I think. You see a development behind it. Something is really happening. We are talking about the topic of HPC, cloud storage, and so on. So a huge market that is simply needed in the AI sector. I will also get to what possible reference projects there are so that one can determine a certain market cap. But if you look further here, it could become really exciting, even for governments. Also regarding this area, around, where do we have it here? Wait a moment here. The data center that is to be modernly built with a focus on think green, etc. So sustainability, etc. is designed for 2021, which is really exciting. And if we also call up the roadmap here, then you can see that a lot has already been accomplished. And if you look here, for example, the data center, there was just, yes, the expansion, so to speak, QQ and also QQ. So they haven't really set that in stone. Now I need to quickly scroll to the side so you can continue reading. And you can see here that you have definitely achieved many things that are checked off. And well, Q is not that far off anymore. And you can also see that there are still a few points open. For example, tier 1 listing. That could get interesting. Let's jump back to CoinMarketCap and scroll down here. There isn't much room for growth anymore. So personally, I'm missing something here. For example, OKX or also Binance. And Binance, we all know, could certainly leverage an enormous upward potential. So we have to wait and see what comes next. There aren't many exchanges missing now. There are already Gate.io, KuCoin, etc. There are already very large ones represented. Before we continue with how much X can still be in it for you right now. 2001, thank you. What happens with this channel? What clicks come in? Comments come in? What likes? If you also like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Write a short comment, around 10 words. The algorithm seems to like very much. And then this video can also be pushed. This channel can continue to grow. Just notice that many who watch the videos haven't subscribed yet. So if you count that as well, then subscribe down here and preferably also hit the bell, all for free. And now a quick look at Bitfoot. So at this point, one might say, hey, if you are not being paid by the project, then you can also speak openly and transparently about it. At the beginning, there was a lot of criticism against Shoes because it is a network setup and wow, pre-sale and so on. We did a scam check here. In any case, it is a trading bot, or rather it does not analyze meme coins. It analyzes traders, meaning the wallets, and you can then copy these wallets. 2001. Well, then I said, okay, as a test for the community, we will start this thing. We bought $250 worth of tokens ourselves and thus gained access to this bot. It is fundamentally an interesting use case for a token, provided that the bot actually works. So now we have selected a trader who had finished in the past. Unfortunately, we weren't there yet, with about cent in profit. And I thought, all right, money, 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 let's get in. Yeah, well, we copied him. And right now he seems to be in a bit of a slumber. I don't know if he might have stopped, looked into my portfolio, and there are currently some meme coins lying there. He has finished quite a few trades in the negative, like this one here. Maybe he is just waiting right now. However, all in all, if you look up here, 122% in profit, and also here, 5%, 219%, 53%, 119%, 53%, 2001, etc. Now, one must say at this point that 2001 is not impressive at all for meme coins, no matter how crazy that sounds. Therefore, I am currently analyzing which wallet might make more sense to copy. Or maybe it's just the market phase, because I personally also noticed that meme coins are not really going crazy right now. So therefore, it can all come back again, but I find it fundamentally an exciting thing. I will continue to stay on it and will transparently show all results. 2001, even if it is negative, if you want to inform yourself more about what it is, because it is of course a passive source of income, clearly feel free to check down in the description. There is a comparable project called Banana Gun. The token alone has made a 10x so that it all works and functions. You have seen that. You just have to follow the right wallets as well. First find out. Now let's get to the price predictions. So that's what I just meant. 2001 meme coins are generally relatively overvalued in terms of price, with little intrinsic value. Now, AI projects, if they develop well, have a lot of potential behind them, which you don't really feel in the price at first. And you can really notice that it is picking up significantly right now. So we are talking about a market size of 170 billion projected for this year alone. You might say, okay, that's nice, but by 2030, it is projected to be almost $775 billion. Friends, that's wild. And it's also due to that. Look at OpenAI, look at Tesla, what's happening there right now, which you didn't really see on the surface at first, and where they suddenly come out and say, hey, wow, we've created something. And even if you take a look here, if you just look at the market cap and the volume in the last 30 days, if you look at it in the overall area, it's wild. It's really wild. And we are only talking about the crypto sector here. And if you go down the list, sure, Render is known, but Solidus takes a while to find. Oh, look, Taurus is included, for example. By the way, if you're interested in the project, feel free to click here. We are not paid by them, aside from that. And Solidus here, well, there is still a lot of room for growth. But you can't really determine that right now, because at this point, one might say, yes, is this somehow comparable to other projects? I would like to briefly show you another value that the stock market is currently looking at. NVIDIA, the quarterly numbers, so the stock sector reacts, as does the crypto space. And if you look at this value alone, NVIDIA has managed to build a solid foundation, the AI sector, with all the chipsets and graphics cards and so on. So if we take a look here, let's go to the maximum value and see how much the value has increased. Absolutely wild. And therefore, one can also say, regardless of the bull run, if projects are well positioned, by the way, Solidus, which I also find cool, they not only have value from the token, but they also have external revenue. You can read about that in the Medium article. I had completely forgotten about it. And that's always a good sign when you say, well, they also have other sources of income. So before we get to the forecasts, I want to briefly address the bullshit that is sometimes spread out there. I went online, just casually on Google, and took a look at what comparable projects to Solidus are out there, to see what the current market cap is, whether they can be caught up with or surpassed, and so on. So then you look at this and see Aave as the highest, in my opinion. We can discuss this now. But I know none of the mentioned projects, at least the first three. I'll leave the last two aside for now because I can't say anything about them. In my perception, they have nothing to do with Solidus. This means anyone who goes to such a website and says, oh yes, exactly, Aave and Aave's market capitalization compared to Solidus, hey, I'm going all in because this thing is going to skyrocket. Absolute bullshit, in my opinion. I already have comparison projects for you, but as I said, Bitstamp Jupiter doesn't count for me at all, folks. Jupiter is a DEX on Solana 2021. What does that have to do with Solidus AI, please? So, I'm not going to say anything about that. Of course, you could somehow relate it to a launchpad, but no, we won't do that. Solidus has a completely different use case. And at this point, a brief note on the top rankings of the current evaluation of the AI tokens. We actually have a few projects where one could say, yes, they fit into the context. For example, Fetch AI, you've probably heard of it. SingularityNet, or what you can see here, Render. And Render, that might sound really crazy at first, but it could actually be comparable. Render also offers GPU, meaning GPU-based computing power for creative and technical projects. There is a similarity to Solidus IUSand, which has specialized in the area of high-performance computing, but it can definitely be compared. Now let's take a closer look and make a direct comparison. We will include Solidus here and in this analysis make a comparison with Render. And look, hello. So we are talking about nearly 29 times, let's say 30 times, what is currently being predicted when we look at the market cap. I'll get to that shortly, and a value of 423, which will taste really good. So quite clearly. Now, what do I mean by that? So we must not forget one thing. Where do we have the view here? Here we have the current status regarding the market cap. So that means Render will not remain at 4.5 or 4.6 billion during the altcoin season, but will continue to rise. This means, of course, that everything that follows at this point will also grow accordingly. So the whole ecosystem is growing. Again, this is not investment advice, and no one can say that just because one project is there, it will pull the other project along. But Render is not that old yet if you take a look. And as I said, this is just one of the use cases that Solidus is taking on, 21. And therefore, as I said, Solido Render, I say here, was also at a completely different place, already in the double-digit dollar range. Now, the big question arises, well, why shouldn't Solidus possibly achieve that as well? So here, Render was also once very low, like where Solidus is currently standing. And therefore, as I said, that remains to be seen. This is not a forecast at this point, or rather a forecast, yes, but no promise. But there is already a lot of potential in it. And I personally believe that one can still definitely take profits now. And now I am, of course, curious. So Solidus, we have also reported on that in the past. Did you perhaps invest back then? What is your feeling about it? So I'm very curious. Please feel free to write about it in the comments. And otherwise, if the exchange is to continue, feel free to join our Telegram group, as the exchange is a bit easier there, and we can also discuss it there. As I said, we don't make hype videos here. We only present the comparisons, and then everyone has to decide for themselves. Please take that with you. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, all the best. Bye.